Hello everyone, this is Father Lamb from Queenship of Mary Parish in Northampton. Hello to all of our parishioners and our friends. Today's April 1st, April Fool's Day. You might think that today, in April Fool's Day, what we've been going through with the coronavirus has kind of been like an April Fool's joke that's gone bad. It's kind of like being in a dream or a nightmare and just waiting to wake up, how crazy these times have been. And I was thinking today being April Fool's Day, I was thinking of what St. Paul said in his letter to the Corinthians. He said that we are all fools for the sake of Christ. And I'd like to share part of that first letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians, chapter 1, beginning with verse 22. St. Paul writes, "For Jews demand signs and Greeks seek wisdom, but we preach Christ crucified, a stumbling block to Jews and folly to Gentiles. But to those who are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ the power of God and the wisdom of God. For the foolishness of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men." You know, our foolishness is really believing in a God that was crucified for us. I mean, that's unbelievable to think about. Our God suffered and died because he loves us, and rose from the dead to prove that he's God. And so we believe in a God who suffers with us. So as we all walk through this coronavirus and we question where God is, God's right beside us. He's suffering with us. And he's in all the people that are trying to help each other. You know, some of the response to this has been wonderful by some people. Just some of the responders saying they haven't seen anything like this of people helping people since 9/11. So in the midst of the struggle, we have to focus on the positive, that God's always bringing good out of the struggles of our lives. So you're not alone. We've been seeing those commercials about that. They've been so cool. You know, actors and actors are saying, you know, we're in this together. You're not alone. And we all need to hear that today, that we're not alone. God is with us. It's just a prayer away. Our lives are all interconnected. We're all connected to each other. What we do affects each other and how we treat each other. And today, I think with what's going on, everybody realizes that and really trying to help people that maybe they really haven't noticed. Different neighbors that they're now checking on that really didn't know before. So there's some beauty happening in the midst of these struggles. Kind of reminds me of the story of the mousetrap. I don't know if you ever heard that story. But once upon a time, there was a mouse living in a farmhouse, and he was down in his little hole in the wall there, looking out from where he lived. And on a certain day, a package arrived, and the old farmer and his wife opened up this package. And he was thinking, wow, what's in there for me? Maybe there's some food there. Well, to his astonishment, when they opened it up, it was a mousetrap. And the mouse said, oh my gosh, there's a mousetrap in the house. There's a mousetrap in the house. He was freaking out. And he ran out of the farmhouse. He ran into the barnyard, and he screamed at all the animals, saying, there's a mousetrap in the house. There's a mousetrap in the house. But none of them really seemed to care. So he ran up to the chicken. And he said to the chicken, there's a mousetrap in the house. There's a mousetrap in the house. And the chicken just kind of clucked along and just said, Mr. Mouse, I'm sorry, but that really doesn't affect me. Sorry for your troubles. He couldn't believe it. He ran over to the pig. He said, there's a mousetrap in the house. There's a mousetrap in the house. Pig, he said, well, I'm really sorry for your troubles. He said, I'll pray for you, but there's really nothing I can do. He runs over to the cow. He says to the cow, there's a mousetrap in the house. There's a mousetrap in the house. The cow said, I'm sorry for your troubles, but he said, there's no skin off my nose. The mouse was so depressed, he went back to the farmhouse and just went back in his little hole in the wall, very depressed and dejected. Well, that night, in the middle of the night, there was a loud sound, the snap, like a mousetrap catching its prey. And when the mouse looked outside this hole there in the wall, he saw the farmer's wife walk over, but it was dark and she couldn't see, and she reached down to the mousetrap, and here it had caught the tail of a venomous snake, and the snake bit her. The farmer rushed her to the hospital. When she came back, she had a fever. And when she had the fever, you know the best thing for a fever? Chicken soup. So the farmer went out to the barn and got the chicken and killed it and made some soup for his wife. Well, the following day, she still had the fever, and they had to watch her around the clock. So different neighbors came in to help out with them going around the clock taking care of his wife. The farmer felt, well, I have to feed them. So he went out and he butchered the pig. He had some food for the people that were helping. Well, lo and behold, she didn't get any better, and she died. And so many people came to her funeral that when they came back to the house afterward, he slaughtered the cow so all of them would have a meal to eat. And there was that poor mouse right there in the little corner of his little hole in the wall, feeling very sad and very depressed. Whenever we think that our lives don't affect each other, we're wrong. We're all connected. And I think this coronavirus is bringing this to the forefront of how much, we all need each other, need to look after each other and help each other. And what affects one of us affects the rest of us in some way. Our lives are interwoven. They're kind of like a tapestry. If you take a tapestry and you look at the back side of a tapestry, all you see is a whole bunch of threads going around, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and it's pretty ugly, really. And sometimes we can't make sense of life on this side. On this side of life, we just look at things, we go, what's this mean? Why did this happen? All those questions we have. But when we die and we reach the other side, God takes that tapestry of our lives and he turns it around. And he shows us the beautiful side of that tapestry and how all of our lives really have a beauty there that we don't always see on this side of eternity. So often in our lives, what we say to God is, God, show me and I'll believe. But God says to us, believe and then I'll show you. It's faith seeking understanding. So when we don't understand why things are happening or why life is the way it is, faith is about believing that in a God who comes to us in our struggles because he was crucified and he suffered. And no matter what suffering we go through, whatever struggles we're all going through at this time, he understands. And so when you find yourself wondering, where's God in all of this? He's right next door. All you have to do is turn to him in a prayer. He's in every healthcare worker that's trying to help people. He's in neighbors reaching out to the elderly, trying to bring them some food or some help. He's at home and parents are struggling with their own, impatience or patience, trying to get their kids on the internet so they can get through with their schooling. God's in all of this, but we just need to turn to him. We're people of faith, my brothers and sisters, and we need to be part of the solution. And let's ask God to help us to do that at this time. Lord, help us all to kind of work together through this tough time, to learn the lessons that you want us to learn as we go through this. And we can become part of the wonderful stories that we'll be telling later about this time in our lives. You've seen them on the internet, you've seen them on TV, some wonderful stories of people just reaching out, keeping that social distance at the same time, trying to reach out to see how their neighbors are doing. On this April Fool's Day, let's remind ourselves that our foolish God comes to us in his suffering to help us with our suffering. He's just a prayer away. Turn to him now. God bless you.